Today guys, we're in for a treat. Both you guys and myself. We have a little family dinner coming up and I wanted to treat everyone to a nice delicious smoked brisket. So I'm going to be making a point cut brisket, or better known as a second cut in the kosher world, on my Yoder Smokers YS640s. It's going to be smoked on low and slow, wrapped up in some butcher paper, left to cool down, and enjoyed. Alright guys, let's get to it. Welcome back to Impossibly Kosher, everybody. Like I mentioned in the intro, we're going to be making a second cut point brisket. Second cut is a synonym for point cut brisket. It's basically the fattier cut of the brisket. You have the flat and you have the point. The flat is usually the leaner cut of meat that is more susceptible to dry out. And for me, I like the fattier cut. It has more give. It allows you to cook better. It allows you to reheat it without having so many issues or concerns with drying out. And honestly, it's my favorite cut. Now, similarly to every cook, you want to start off with what's going to take the longest amount of time. And in this case, that is this seasoning. So we start off with the spice rub. In a bowl, we're going to get 1 part salt, half a part beef bouillon mix. Trust me, this is going to add a different level to your brisket. I actually learned that trick from one of the episodes on Meat Church. I think he was with Goldie's Barbecue, if I'm not mistaken. And they use it on their rib mix, so I've used it before on my ribs and brisket, and it's beyond delicious. Anyways, I digress. Next, a little bit of Larry's seasoned salt, also about 1 part, followed by half a part of garlic powder. By the way, if you guys ever tried using Larry's seasoned salt or beef soup mix on briskets, let me know in the comment section how they come out for you guys. Now, we give it a little rub. Make sure it's nice and homogeneous so that when you're sprinkling it on, it coats evenly. Now, we get the star of the show, the brisket. Beautiful, fresh cut, looks gorgeous. Now for my binder, I'm going to be using Worcestershire sauce, and the first thing you do is you sprinkle it with black pepper. You want to make sure to get the top, the bottom, and the sides. The reason you start off with the black pepper is actually so that you can make sure that it sticks to the meat. If you do the rub first, you may not get that much black pepper actually sticking on the meat. It may actually fall off during the cooking process. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments. Then you start sprinkling over the spice rub, and again, make sure to get the top, bottom, and those sides. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a nice top bark, nice bottom bark, but the sides are going to be lacklustering. I like to do this whole thing in an aluminum tray because stick around, you'll see where I'm using that aluminum tray later on. I cover it with saran wrap and I get it into the fridge overnight, so that salt has time to penetrate deep into the meat. The next morning, I actually had a meeting a couple hours after, so I had to wake up really early to make sure to get this started. I turned on the Yoder and I set it to 235. Auger's going to start to pull the wood pellets into the firebox, and that ceramic igniter on the Yoder is going to light it after just a minute or two. Now keep an eye on it. As soon as you start to see smoke, you can add that cover back on, and let's go get the brisket. So brisket comes out of the fridge. You can already see that the salt is penetrated. I left it about 8 hours, so it's going to be a good one. We bring it to the Yoder. You guys can see it's starting to rain, but that never stopped me. You can see the fire on the side. We want to get the probe in through the probe hole. Oh, sorry, forgot to wear my barbecue mitts. Didn't want to burn my hand. Plug it in. And even though I have a meeting later on, I'm going to be monitoring everything through the Fireboard app on my phone. And what I love about the Yoder is I actually can control the entire cook from my phone from far away and monitor the entire thing. The only thing I would say is make sure that your hopper is full with pellets, because there's nothing worse than starting off a cook, leaving, and then realizing that temperature starts to drop because you forgot to fill it up. So I give a nice little scrape to the top just to let go of any debris that are there. I get the brisket on the top rack, get the probe inside, and I told you I was going to use that tray later on. I'm going to be using it to catch all the drippings that come out of this brisket. Nothing goes to waste, not at our house. We close the hood, and we'll see you in a couple hours. Now while we're waiting, guys, if you like this video, show your support by smashing that like button. And if you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel. I have new videos coming out all the time, and I try to go into detail as much as possible to make this video as educational, but also as enjoyable as possible. It's been several hours later, and look at that beautiful blue smoke. That's what's incredible about a pellet smoker. You end up getting a clean smoke every time. All right, moment of truth. Whoa, that looks good. Look at that incredible bark. And the drippings dripping down drop by drop, rendering that fat off. Beautiful red color. You know that the smoke penetrated. There's not really any pooling areas, which is perfect. It's a nice aerodynamic piece. And now it's been sitting in the thermal stall for way too long. So we're gonna need to expedite this cook. We're gonna get it out. We're gonna wrap it in some butcher's paper and get it back. So using Yoder's butcher's paper, roll it out. Next, a little trick. I'm actually using some dry aged beef tallow. You can use normal beef tallow, but the dry age adds a nice little hint to it. And what the tallow is gonna do is it's gonna keep it nice and deliciously juicy, basically preventing the crust from drying out. The butcher's paper is a little bit more porous, but allows you to keep that delicious bark that you want. Get that brisket out, careful, it's hot, right on top of that tallow. And don't you think that we're throwing out that rendered fat? No way. You get that right on top, and it's time to wrap. Wrap one side, make sure it is nice and tight, and there you go. Now we get it back on the grill, and we're gonna need to get that probe back in. It was way too hot. From the top, that's not gonna work. We gotta get it in from the side. I raised the grill's temp to 275. It was cooking most of the time at 235, 250, and I held off on wrapping up until it was at 175. You may have noticed that that internal temp says 186. Funny enough, when I took it off the grill, it shot up in temperature. Not sure why, but it did. Not long after, we hit that target 195. Crazy enough, it didn't take that much time at all. Brisket comes off, the Yoder is powered down, and we let it cool down. Now the challenge with this brisket was that we were going out of town and we were going to eat it the next day. So I let it cool down. Since it was wrapped, I left it in a cooler so that it would retain as much heat as possible. But by the time we were going to eat it, I needed to reheat it. So I got it into the oven at around 250 to 300 degrees and I let it reheat slow and steady. And take a look. The juices are overflowing. I know the second I unpack this, it's going to spill like crazy. So I've got it back in the tray. That way I don't lose any of those delicious juices. Look at that, my goodness. All that rendered fat. This is gonna be incredible. Moment of truth. Everyone in the house was commenting how incredible it smells. Look at that. You can see the steam building out and that bark is unbelievable. Sorry guys for the cutting, but all we had is this small cutting board and this tiny knife, but I made do. And let's take a look at that cross section. Dang, it's hot. Dang, it's hot. Oh, that is delicious. That beautiful smoke ring around. That white on the middle is just rendered fat. Needs to be heated up just a bit more. And, you know that we're gonna enjoy this. Now guys, if you like that video, give it a big thumbs up and let us know how you feel about it in the comment section. What else do you want us to cook on our Yoder? Have something specific you want us to try? Let me know in the comment section. And check out this video on the top right of your screen. And links to everything I use will be in the description section as always. Thank you guys for watching and looking forward to seeing you in the next one.